Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast. I'm your host, Hanna Nuss. No real reason why, just me and you. Here we are, taking up space in this beautiful world of ours. Let's go ahead and ground ourselves in our greatness. This is just the daily practice of really just practicing being great, owning that greatness. And that's probably the biggest piece, I would say, out of all of it. It's like our willingness to just say out loud how amazing we are and really, really talk through that, the wholeness of that, the beauty of that, and bring it out into the physical world. Because the physical reality of that, making it a physical gesture, so bringing energy behind it and saying it in voice, or putting energy behind it and writing it on a sheet of paper, that is an exchange, right? When we just keep it in our heads, there's an exchange just in positive thought, but we amplify the effect if we turn it into a physical energy exchange. So think about that when you're practicing this. That's not to say that there's any one way to win at this, because there definitely is no set, surefire way to do your greatness grounding. That's just like bonus points if you take it to that space. So my great thing, yesterday I thought we were going to get to baseline, and we will. Today we will get to baseline. Everything is where it's supposed to be today, to be there today. And I think I have like 3 pairs of maybe pants or shirts that need to go into different drawers. But we will be at baseline today. And we haven't established that, I would say, probably in a year. And that's really hard to think through, especially with how much work we've done with, minimizing things and doing all of that work. There really shouldn't be this ability to get out of whack that far. But I think that speaks to really the lower lying way your body reacts. It's almost like you don't want to give yourself that when you're sad or depressed or you're in that state. It's just like, I can't get up and move. I can't finish a task. I can't do anything. And then that just begins to spiral even deeper in this disbelief of your worth. And, it's no wonder that houses look in disarray when you're kind of mistreating yourself or you're running all over. I don't even think it's so much a timing thing, just a self-love thing. Do you even love yourself enough to give yourself the gift of a beautiful space? And that's not just that you have to be the only one to do that, but right, when you take it over the finish line, what is your vision for this home? What does it look like when it's at its best? How do you thrive when it's at its best? How does everyone thrive? And so for me, it's just been, we've been in a place where we haven't been able to thrive. We've weaved in and out of sometimes thinking that we're back at it and then just being thrown a complete curveball. And so this is the closest we've come in a very long time. And I'm excited because I know that that's just a level up exchange where, the universe is going to go ahead and acknowledge. Hanna knows when she gets into the flow of things, she can remain in a pretty good flow for a while. And so I will go ahead and take this as a sign from the universe. Thank you, good universe. And whoever you think that force is for you, go ahead and fill in the blank there. But I'll go ahead and take that as a sign that it's time. We're ready. Let's go. We're allowing you to be in the flow. The last time that I got into a really good flow state, and it was like flow against all odds. Like I had a 6-month-old. We were playing for a state title. I had just wrecked my car I hit a deer with my car, and it was just like, we have to stay in this flow. We were doing cloth diapers. Like we had every reason to get out of flow and just let it all go out of whack. But it was like, no, stay consistent, stay with the routine, stay here, stay in this mindset and this flow, and everything can stay in that wavelength. And it did, right? And I'm ready. So we have 2 pairs of pants to put away after this, and then we'll be back in level up mode. And I think it's important to note that you are in control, but you aren't. And so that's why I've just been like sitting back. Okay, you're going to give me the space, you're going to give me the time and guide me to where this all happens, because I don't know where you want me to fit this in. You want me to finish this, you want me to get to this baseline, but like, where is it going to happen? And I think the beauty is when you're naming those things, the world can kind of react, the time can align, and you can be placed in a perfect position to deliver and just kind of knock it out. And so that's where we're at. Important to note that unless, for me, creating a good baseline is the key to me leveling up or finding higher heights. Now, it could be different for all of you, but I believe in building a foundation that we can build on versus being everywhere and trying to make things happen, to finally get in that flow. I think get in the flow and then make things happen. It's just going to make everything so much easier. Otherwise, I feel like you're constantly cycling in and out of successful spaces, and it's kind of hard to establish common ground with anything that you're trying to work on. So I believe in building the base. And okay, that's super important, and I'm hoping that I've got back to baseline, and that really is my great thing. So go ahead, take time for yourself, recognize yourself for your great thing. I don't know, but I've been told that all of you are amazing, and that most of us aren't willing to acknowledge that. So I understand that this practice of greatness grounding is going to be painful, but you will get through it. I promise. And eventually you'll look forward to it. And you'll be messaging me and you'll be like, I have a great thing. I can't wait to tell you my great thing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I'll be like, what? You have a great thing? Please tell me. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? That's the greatest thing ever. Please tell me more of your great things. You don't have to wait till there's a great thing that you want to scream from the rooftops to let me know about. If you feel great about writing down your greatness grounding, I want to know about it. Right? I want to celebrate with you. I think every single thing that you wake up and feel excited about and feel great about, no matter how minute, I talk about feeling great about putting food in canisters. I don't know, but there's value there. Right? And the more that you speak to those things, the more clues that you start to lay yourself down, the more that you can understand really what matters to you most, you're going to start to set yourself up for discovery. And that's super important. So I don't know, whatever it is, whatever you feel amazing about, don't wait till you get to the trophy moment. Shout it from the rooftops. This is how we all rise up collectively. Trust. Okay, we're going to dive in today because we're talking about presence. And presence is kind of like one of those words that gets thrown out there and you're like, oh, I just want to be present. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's be present. And no one really tells you how. And so today we're going to talk about how to be present. So this definitely is and was something that I struggled with a lot. Because I always wanted to be present, and yet I was constantly doing things that was pulling my presence, and I wasn't even really aware of it. So here we go. This is what present looks like. Being in any given moment, mentally and physically. So I was physically in a lot of spaces. And I was mentally in more, unfortunately. And that became a really big challenge for me once I started to dive into sort of like the greatness grounding. Once I started to really ask for presence in moments, I could start to pinpoint when my mind was wandering, where it was going, why it was going. And I think the why my mind is wandering is the most important, because a lot of us are like, oh, I was bored, so then I just started thinking about my plan for the next day or whatever. And I want you to push yourself on board, right? Push that a little bit. I think that's the easy reason, right? But there's probably something a little bit deeper there. And there might not always be, right? You may just literally have nothing to do with something and you're in it and you just want out. But like, why do you want to escape from that? Why are you pulling your own presence? What is going on in that moment that here are the mindless things that we do that we don't even think about, that you start to plan the next day, that you start to think about work, that you start to think about emails, that you pull out your phone and just start to surf social media, that you start to think about a vacation that you want to plan, XYZ, fill in the blank, whatever that looks like. But what that's doing is really mentally pulling you somewhere else than where you currently are. And so we're not going to get through that today. You're not going to listen to this podcast and go, you know what? I want to be present. Okay. Presence has to be set as exploration and as a destination. Like, you are not taking a trip to presence and arriving tomorrow. It is not something you can buy a ticket to and arrive. Okay. Presence is a practice. Presence is something that you work yourself up to. So a lot of people are like, meditate and do yoga. And a lot of people quit probably within the first 2 days because they're like, oh my gosh, my mind is running everywhere. And this is really what I want to talk about today. Your mind is running everywhere all the time. The second that you start to call in silence, you can start to realize that. But usually we have physical presence in spaces and mental. And so when we're showing up in that place, we don't notice, right? Because there are so many distractions, it's hard to tell. But the second that you start meditating or you start doing yoga, you're called into the silent space. You're maybe even closing your eyes without the intent to sleep. And you feel super anxious about where your thoughts are running to. That's not because you can't yoga or you can't meditate. That's because it's a freaking practice. Like, it's not just something that you're innately able to do, especially with the way that our society runs, right? Like, we're built to run our minds ragged, in fact. Like the more that we push them, the more that they can do, the more that we can contribute to society, the more that we can help everyone, where it's actually probably the opposite if you really start to look at meditation and the importance of it, right? The importance of slowing down and really sitting with your feelings and really knowing how you're reacting to something. And that's not to say like, oh, I have road rage, I'm going to meditate, right? There's a time and place. It's not always appropriate. But being in control of or knowing what triggers that gives you the ability to look at that thought, to look at that initial emotion on deeper levels, right? And maybe not react like that in that moment. Or maybe like you're mad and it doesn't matter. But it is about really looking to level up and take your mind and process those emotions in a different way, right? And saving space for presence for those emotions. We're not burying them. We're thinking about them. We're talking about them. And so what am I talking about? For goodness sakes, like, Hannah, will you quit being such a crazy hippy dippy person? But I'm telling you, like, I entered into this space really wanting to be present. And a lot of people start their list with, I want to be a great mom and wife. And I start my list every day with, I am a present wife and mom. And that, writing that down in 2019, for the first time, I was just like, that's such a far place from where I am. Like, I would go to events, we'd be at birthday parties, we'd be at family gatherings, and I'd be like planning my practice schedule for the next week. I'd be sending emails. Like, those were my chances because, you know, the kids are running and they're having fun, but like, I'm not there. I'm not doing anything here. I don't know any of these people. I'm just sitting here, right? Like, and maybe someone would ask me a question and then oh, hi, yeah, I'm here. What? Oh, okay. Half answer the question, go back to whatever I was doing and not really exist anywhere and not really get to know anyone. Like, hello, how would you get to know anyone, right? And it'd be the same. Even when I was at work or even when I was at practice, like, it would almost be hard to only be doing the one thing, right? Presence seemed so far away and honestly completely daunting. Like, I can't even tell you how painful that thought was when I wrote that down, right? Because I thrived running myself ragged. In fact, I was actually really kind of good at it. Like, my mind actually really is built for multiple thoughts and running fast and furious. And you can take advantage of that, certainly. And I definitely did. And it didn't get me anywhere worth going, I can promise you that. Because it's just leading you up faster to a burnout. It's coming. It's inevitable. So once we start to call presence in, it really starts as the simple acknowledgement that we want presence, period. Do you want that? Do you want control of your thoughts and emotions? And I'll tell you, having gone on this journey, you will release yourself into a space where you start to feel things that maybe you weren't wanting to bring back, that maybe you weren't wanting or expecting to feel, right? Because you are releasing yourself into present thought, and then we're not allowing ourselves to bury things that are presently taking place. And so when you experience those things, you have to really think through them, what caused that, what happened, and it doesn't all just flow like this, right? Like, right when you write that down. For me, it was just like, okay, we're going to sit here and for the first 5 minutes, we're not going to look at our phone. We're going to sit here and just listen, regardless of if people are asking us questions or not. We're going to be right here. And then you're going to sit there the first couple times and you're going to feel super anxious, right? Because you're going to start to hear stuff. You're going to hear your own mind. You're going to hear maybe even the mind of other people as you're sitting there for the first time. And it's going to feel overwhelming. Just breathe through it, okay? And allow yourself to sit in that present moment. Really sit. Really don't allow your mind to wander out of the conversation or the thing that's happening right in front of you for just 5 minutes. And I'm telling you, if you have a very disruptive presence schedule like me, it's going to be hard. 5 minutes is going to be hard, okay? But you can grow that over time. But you have to keep coming back to the practice of regaining your presence in any given moment. And a great way to do that is meditation. But I'll tell you, if you're starting meditation, and I know that there's some guidance out there that's very pro clear your mind, I will say that is a tall ask if you've never done that before. It's something that I think you can definitely work your way up to. I've been consciously working on presence for almost 3 years now, wanting to be more present. And I will tell you, I am getting to the place now that I can actively control thoughts and emotions flowing in and out of my mind. And I am just starting, as I'm getting more into my meditation and yoga practice, I'm just starting to be able to completely clear my mind of thought. Right? Blank slate, nothing going on there. No thoughts in or out. So grant yourself grace in that space. You are not going to be the master. You are probably not going to be able to clear your mind in meditation if you are just starting out. So give yourself room. Really try to keep yourself in one thought. Okay. And if it's not one, maybe it's keep yourself to 2, but see if you can start to control the flow of one thought coming in and out, right? And if you're using meditation as the ability to like calm anxious spaces, so if like you're using it as an escape, there's a really cool car commercial and they're all driving and then the mom's like, they get to wherever they were going and they're all getting out of the car and they're like, are you coming? She's like, I need 5 minutes, right? And she turns on her Zen music and she sinks into probably a meditation. If you're using it for that, allow yourself to fully examine whatever it is you're experiencing in that moment. So she was experiencing overwhelm, and that might look like an examination of why she got overwhelmed. What triggered that? How is this similar to something I've experienced before? Or my kids are just crazy, but like, how amazing, right? To have these children. And you can kind of shift your mind as you're exploring that into a grateful space, and sometimes shift a negative energy back into a positive energy. And hopefully it doesn't come from a forced space, because by no means am I saying every single negative thing that you're experiencing, if you go into meditation, you're going to somehow shift it into a positive. No, it really is just see if you can fully examine that space that you're in right there, right? What's going on in your head? What needs to be done? Sometimes it can be used as a great way to presently plan out whatever your schedule needs to look like, whatever you need to check off of the list, right? Because of the singular nature in which you're pulling in thoughts and action items, right? You're not pulling in this massive list of 200 things, you're pulling them in one at a time. And so think about how much space you can give something if you're doing it in this singular fashion. So you can start with meditation, but you don't have to. And I am telling you, if it's super overwhelming, stop trying to clear your brain. You're probably going to have to work your way up to that. And I'm telling you that from personal experience and from looking to other people practicing meditation that don't have this, entry point, right? And there are some guided places that they may be guiding people who have already experienced some form of enlightenment, who have this ability. So keep searching for someone who's maybe at the same place that you are, or who is coaching people at the same place that you are with meditation. There definitely are a lot of options out there. I'm telling you, if you're going to start to practice meditation as a way to find your presence in spaces, allow yourself the space to bring thoughts in, right? But fully examine them. Now, if we're talking about bringing in more presence, right? We're not going to be great at it all at once, but start examining where and why your mind is going to that place, right? Are you constantly in environments that don't feed you with people who you don't really find all that interesting? Are you constantly in environments that are just like really in negative spaces that you aren't being fed in? What is contributing to the anxiety and overwhelm of those situations? And even if you can't sink into a meditative state, examine your emotion in that moment. What's going on, right? And if it helps, start keeping a journal of those things. Now, if this is like a workplace and you're experiencing things, make sure that you keep that journal at home. It might not be something you want anyone to discover if you're having struggles there. But see where the clues lie. Is there like one person that's triggering you? Start to nail it down and then start to release yourself into those present states. Even when you're presently in a moment, you can be presently exploring your thoughts around what's going on and still be there, because we think that presence means that we're there and we're speaking and people know that we exist. And I don't think it always has to be that way, right? Like, you can be there and really be in thought about whatever they're saying or whoever they are and however you're reacting to that. And I think that's super important as you continue to explore what presence looks like for you. But presence is not something you just arrive to. And I want to give you that gift today. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't start meditating and doing yoga today and become the master of it. Slowly but surely, as you set that intention for more presence, for, more thought towards where you are and what you have going on, once you set that, you can begin to heal, find clues, and start to live forward in that direction. But it starts there, right? It really starts with setting that clear intention of what you want to do and how you want to get there. Period. And everything after that really just starts to flow. But I want to tell you today, if presence is something that you want to focus on, that you want to do and bring into your life, it's a long haul practice. And it's not as simple as just practicing meditation and having no thoughts. And some of you may be able to get there quicker than others. My journey there was just a really long journey. But don't be too hard on yourself as you start to practice more mindfulness. You'll get there. Just keep paying attention. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.